The weather is ideal on this Saturday night in downtown St. Louis. The Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals from Busch Stadium. Game 2 of this weekend series. And welcome to Cardinals baseball. That's Rick Horton. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us as the Cardinals try to bounce back after an early morning loss. Really tough loss to handle. And yet, it starts with pitching, so we'll see if that pitching can come through tonight. Good matchup.
Yeah, really a short night for the Cardinals and for the Brewers, for that matter. The Brewers are going to go with Mike Fiers, who's a very big find for them. He's a rookie right-hander. He throws over the top, fastball, curveball, not overpowering. He beat the Cardinals in an early start. That came in July. For the Cardinals, they go with Jake Westbrook, trying to win his 14th game of the year. He, too, had a good start against Milwaukee. That came in April. No walks, 5 strikeouts, and 7 solid innings in that game.
Now, Mike Fiers is in the conversation for Rookie of the Year of the National League. His teammate, Ryan Braun, he's got a chance again to be the MVP. We'll take a look at Braun, his impact, and also some history inside the National League of these MVPs that go back-to-back. A look at them, the last 5, and Ryan Braun next. His career for Ryan Braun as he went deep late into the night. Last night, that was the game winner for Milwaukee, and he's put himself in the conversation for MVP. He was the most valuable player of the National League a year ago. Could he go back-to-back? Here's the last 5 that it's happened to in the National League.
Mike Schmidt, Dale Murphy, Barry Bonds again, and we recognize that name, Albert Pujols. An outstanding season again for Braun. He's topped 100 RBIs, and he's certainly in the consideration for National League MVP.
When we come back, it's another edition of Up for Grabs. When you come to the ballpark, you've got to be heads up. Flying bats, balls, you never know what may happen. That's next. game number 2, the Cards and Brewers. It's another edition of Up for Grabs.
There's the enthusiasm we're looking for.
Bitters sends the bat head into the seats next to the Cubs dugout.
Oh, look out.
Looks like everybody's okay. Thank you, sir. Nice flag. Got a Ranger fan.
A Labor Day souvenir. Take that to school tomorrow.
Runs out of room.
Man down. You see that?
Nice catch out there in the seat.
Clear the wall, indeed.
We don't have particularly good fielding fans today. Same fan dropped in again.
A disappointing loss late last night, or should I say this morning. Yadier Molina continues to rally these Redbirds towards the postseason. Another solid showing last night for the team MVP. Two candidates for league MVP in the house this evening. Ryan Braun and Matt Holliday, among the league leaders in average and power. Jake Westbrook will look for win number 14 in the midst of one of his strongest seasons ever, but he'll have his hands full with the Brewers. Milwaukee has won 14 of their last 18, and if you haven't been paying attention, they quietly crept back into the playoff picture. Cardinals Brewers, Game 2 next on Fox Sports Midwest.
Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake, just no equal. Picture perfect night here in St. Louis, home to the world champions of 2011. A look at the lineup for Milwaukee: Aoki, then Weeks and Braun. Ramirez, the former Cub, is back in there. Corey Hart, Jonathan Lucroy, Carlos Gomez, Jeff Bianchi, and it's Mike Fiers, the rookie who's hitting .038. The Cardinals go with Jake Westbrook tonight, and Jake at times has been awfully effective, and he's trying to pick up his 14th win.
Very good against Milwaukee in April, his one appearance against them. And the key, as always, to Jake Westbrook is sinkers down in the zone. Do not elevate your pitches and stay ahead as much as possible. His rhythm also important. He needs to work quickly, but he needs not to rush, because when he rushes, sometimes the ball gets up in the zone.
And the first pitch is taken for a ball low and in. Aoki, the leadoff man for Milwaukee. Second pitch of the ball game is hit out to center field. John Jay playing way in. He's going back. Oh, he makes the catch. Playing very shallow. Running to the track and on the run, John Jay makes a terrific play in center field.
Aoki, a slap hitter with good power, though, and the shallow playing Jay got a good jump on it, and we've seen so many good plays by him defensively.
I just saw John Jay. Carpenter is in right. Holiday, good to see him back in there. That's the same infield from game 1. And Yadier Molina, despite a long night, early morning, a ton of innings piling up for Yadi. He's back in there behind the plate tonight. There's a strike to Ricky Weeks.
Been so durable, and we recall that collision that he had against the Pittsburgh Pirates with Josh Harrison, and you thought, well, maybe we would not see Yadier Molina so much over the next couple of weeks, but he continues to be durable, and he had some night last night. Unfortunately, the Cardinals, not enough offense to support it.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Ricky, think about the heat of this summer across the entire United States, but certainly here in St. Louis, one of the hottest summers on record, and yet he's back behind the plate game after game. Ground ball that is foul.
Back behind there working, helping out his pitcher. He's focused as much as anybody on the field right now, with the lone exception perhaps of the pitcher, but he has to focus at the plate. He has to kind of work the game right alongside the pitcher. Kind of a soft focus for everybody else defensively, but he has to be locked in.
The 2-2 to Weeks. Got him. Strikeout. First of the night for Jake Westbrook.
And 150 strikeouts on the season for Ricky Weeks. Perfect slider. Just kind of a little bit of a teaser. Started it on the outside corner, and it broke right off the plate.
Strikeout number 105 for Westbrook this year. And here's Ryan Braun. Talked about it a little bit last night. The numbers would certainly give you a case for Ryan Braun to be the National League MVP. The problem is, to an extent, his recent history with what's happened in the offseason and being linked to PEDs. Then with a technicality left off, he was facing a 50-game suspension to start the year. You wonder if the writers use that as a factor as to why they wouldn't vote for him or leave him at second or third. Taken just a bit low, 3-0.
They'll all come to their own conclusions, but my guess is some will hold it against him and some won't. Some will say, well, he's not been proven guilty, so I can't put him in a different category as anybody else. But there'll be plenty that say, look, we had all the evidence we needed. It was just a mistake, basically, that led to him being able to play this entire season, so I can't vote for him. I'm sure you'll get a little bit of both.
3-1 pitch. Braun hits it sharply to second, taken there by Schumacher, and a 1-2-3 inning for Westbrook. Cardinals coming up, home half of the first, no score. Beautiful night here at Busch. Mark at 74 and 64. Arguably the best lineup in the National League, if not in all of baseball. John Jay leads it off, followed by Matt Carpenter, then Matt Holliday. Craig, Molina, Freese to follow, then Schumacher, Descalso, and Westbrook. Mike Fiers, very good rookie campaign for the Milwaukee Brewers.
Cardinals first saw him nearly 2 months ago, and he was very, very good in that outing. 7 solid innings. He walked 4, gave up 4 hits, and also struck out 4 Cardinals, did not give up a run. He throws right over the top, and I mean right over the top, which creates a little bit of deception. Does not throw overly hard, has a curveball that he throws from that high arm angle, and he is much more of a pitcher than he is kind of a power arm, but he's had a very nice rookie season.
19th consecutive start this evening for John Jay at center field and in the leadoff spot. It's the longest such stretch of his career in the leadoff spot. On base percentage has been near .450 at the top of the lineup. That's taken for a strike, 1-1.
Cardinals really have been looking for a classic leadoff hitter for the last 3, 4, 5 years, really, and John Jay may be the guy. He's learned to go deeper in counts, take more pitches. Handles the bat well, and he also runs the bases very well and is more of a threat to steal than he was a year ago.
Overall, his average at .350 from the leadoff spot, and this season .321. 1-2 pitch, breaking ball, slowly hit to the right side. This will be close, and Fiers beats Jay to the bag for the out. Brewers defensively with Braun in left, Gomez in center, Aoki is in right. Ramirez, Bianchi, left side of the infield, Weeks and Hart on the right side. Jonathan Lucroy is battling with Maldonado to get playing time is behind the plate. Around the horn all season long, presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Matt Carpenter last night started the ball game in left field. Sore back of Matt Holliday, who is in the lineup tonight. That familiar spot, left field and third in the lineup. He's on deck, and Carpenter is hitting a .299 average coming into play.
Classic example of a player taking advantage of an opportunity yesterday. Matt Holliday couldn't start, so Carpenter did, produced offensively. So you look at the lineup card the next day and you're Mike Matheny, you can't keep him out.
1-1 pitch. Carpenter, it's a high fly ball out to left. 2 outs. talking about Braun being the MVP. And if not, the association with what took place in spring training might be the runaway at this point, because Andrew McCutchen has tailed off a bit. He did have a 4-hit game this last week. He may lead the league in hitting, but then you compare it to the power numbers of Braun, and it's not close.
And there were folks excited about Melky Cabrera before he got his own suspension. So I think it's open a bit. Joey Votto being injured has also opened it up. Matt Holliday was on such a tear about 3 weeks ago. You just envisioned him just kind of crushing the ball all the way through September and maybe stealing it from McCutchen and others. And that still could happen.
1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Holliday with the 25 home runs, and he's driven in 92. Outfield very deep. Fiers is coming off a poor start his last time out against Miami. He is from that area. He had left nearly 50 tickets for family and friends. First time he had been back there to pitch. Did not go well. Committed 2 errors, 3 1/3. And those 2 errors really cost him. 6 runs, 6 hits, and only 3 1/3.
Yeah, an oddity in this game. Both pitchers with 5 errors. Jake Westbrook also has 5, and he's a guy that fields his position well. You'd think he gets a lot of ground balls and a lot of chances, but he's thrown the ball away quite a bit. So that's a high number of errors in 1 year for a pitcher. If you have 2, that's a lot, and they both have 5.
Ron Kulpa is behind the plate. Fires a couple of times in the at bat with Holliday, just staring back in, disagreeing with some of those borderline calls. In steps Alan Craig for the first time tonight. Craig at 308, 20 home runs. He's driven in 74. Very short lead by Holliday at first. Nice block by Lucroy.
The overhand curveball actually got on the side of it a bit, and so it bounced to the side. So Lucroy had to be very nimble just to get his body in front of that ball. And Holliday, with the bad back, probably is not going to go unless it's an obvious opportunity.
1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Fiers started play tonight, just over 104 innings pitched. And last season, between AA and AAA, he was at 128 total. There's talk of even shutting him down this year, just to make sure that he's healthy going into next season. And from an organizational standpoint, they say generally they like to see about a 20 to 30% increase in innings year to year in the minor leagues to build up year after year heading to the big leagues. So you would have to figure he's got a few more starts in him. .30 pitch.
Become much more of a science now in how you handle pitchers in terms of innings and pitch counts, etc. The Nationals have decided to shut down Steven Strasburg. Really was expected to throw one more outing, but struggled a bit in his last start. They just decided the time is now.
3-1 pitch. Craig out in front, pops it up behind home plate. Remember, we didn't see Fiers until the end of May, and now he has turned out to be one of their better arms. Count is run full. Holliday will run with this pitch. There he goes, and Craig rips it to third and taken there by Ramirez. Cardinals strand a runner. After an inning of play, there's no score. Today it's Hispanic Heritage Festival this afternoon. Many of those fans have made their way now to Busch Stadium. Big crowd on this Saturday night. We turn to our Toyota keys to the game, and it's runs per game in the National League rankings.
Really the two best offenses in the National League, the Cardinals and the Brewers.
Carpenter is over, runs out of room, and it's a foul ball.
And it's been true over the last 2 years, and you think about both of these clubs missing the guy who was the centerpiece of their offense a year ago, but they continue to produce.
Ramirez, a .295 average. Replacement for Fielder to an extent in this lineup. Idea was to have Gamble at first. They signed Ramirez as a free agent. You have Corey Hart back, Weeks healthy. Make up for the loss of Fielder, who hit his 25th home run of the season.
And
going
back to those
rankings.
We'll show you those rankings one more time from 2011 to 2012. Actually about 0.3 runs better for the Brewers without Fielder in the lineup. So hitting has not been this team's problem. They have just not pitched as well as projected, especially out of the bullpen. The starting rotation has had its lumps too, but the bullpen has really been a disaster at times for Ron Renick.
Westbrook had a 1-2-3 first inning. In many ways it's been done quietly, but Ramirez has put up some big seasons over the years. He looks at ball 4. Leadoff walk brings in Corey Hart. We showed you last night, Corey Hart has just destroyed the St. Louis Cardinals. Last 3 years, you can make a case there's been nobody better against St. Louis at the plate than Corey Hart.
I believe the number 14 home runs since 2008 against St. Louis. Good season this year with 27 and 76 RBIs.
High fly ball hit down the left field line and pulled foul. He's not quite in Pedro Alvarez territory for his season, but over the last 3 years, the total body of work has been the best.
No question. Bud Norris with a bat.
There you go. Outfield is deep, straight away. The 0-1 pitch. Fly ball into right. Schumacher can't get to it. Drops in for a base hit. They got the runners hung up between first and second. And second and third, they'll run Hart down, tag him out. base running mistake once he got on. Ramirez is really caught no man's land just to make sure that that ball drops.
And this play works because Jake Westbrook is paying attention, and he's standing on first base. Allen, Craig, and Schumacher had to go for the ball. Hart was way off the bag, but there's the pitcher right where he's supposed to be, covering first base. It's not a play that happens a lot where the first baseman and the second baseman have to vacate the area to leave first base open. But again, where else should the pitcher go? Jake Westbrook helping himself out.
Sure, from a manager's perspective, the player's perspective, you always want to play in meaningful games in September. And here we are, September 8th, and the numbers on Jonathan Lucroy, batting .321. And he lines it past Descalso into left field. Ramirez will stay put at third base, not advance. Runners at the corners. Just think about the trade of Zach Greinke. They felt they could not keep him and re-sign him a free agent to be. And at that point, you're saying, well, we're probably out of the race realistically, because if you're in the race, you keep him. Got a chance to win. But all of a sudden, they have vaulted with this little run to where they say, why not? Why not us? Let's go on a run. And they have.
If you look at Milwaukee being 6 games behind the Cardinals on September 8th, you say it's not outside the realm of possibility that they can sneak into the wild card. They are right where Arizona was about a week or so ago, and we thought they were in it.
Westbrook will tag Gomez. No, they're going to say he's safe, and we'll have an argument. A run scores. That's Aramis Ramirez. Here comes Mike Matheny, and Westbrook is hot.
They're going to ask the home plate umpire. Give him credit. Daryl Cousins coming down to Ron Culpa, wanting to know if he saw anything definitively.
And he is out.
Gomez doesn't like it. Now Ron Renicke's mad. So we got a lot of people mad here at the ballpark. Here's the bunt. It's a perfect bunt. Westbrook, does he tag him or not? He says he did. Gomez says he didn't. One more look. Looks like he got him on the foot. He may have gotten him on the foot, missed the back. But does he catch that back foot or not and trip him up a bit? From the angle before, it looked as if he may have caught that back foot, but Gomez doesn't like the call, and they're not going to win the second argument.
So the walk to Ramirez. Start the inning. He comes around to score. RBI for Gomez is 45th. Lucroy also advances on the play. He's at second base. Bianchi is the hitter. The shortstop, who's hitting .227. 3 home runs, and he's driven in 8. Outfield is shallow. One-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Here's a 2-0. Taken low and away. The pitcher's spot on deck. That's Fiers, who is hitting .038.
Well, once it's 3-0, then you're careful, but I don't like kind of giving in to the 8th place hitter. There's a reason he's batting 8. But once it's 3-0, you don't want to make a 300 hitter out of him, and you're better off taking the chances with the pitcher who's batting .038, as you say.
You can get postseason tickets when you place a full season ticket deposit for the 2013 season. Visit cardinals.com/season for all the details. So don't wait. Start enjoying the perks of being a Cardinals season ticket holder right now. Runners at first and second for Mike Fiers. Strike one. That's strike 2. A walk, a pair of singles in this inning. Then Westbrook would take that ground ball off the bat of Gomez, and there's an 0-2 mistake into center field. Jay comes up, he'll fire to the plate, and not in time. The pitcher advancing to second base on the play, and it's 2-0 Milwaukee. So Fiers picks up his first RBI.
Trying to put him away with a slider, and he just hung it. Left it right in the middle of the plate. And a hanging slider, an easy pitch to hit. The throw up the line a bit for John Jay. So everybody advances, and rough inning here for Westbrook.
Runners at second and third. Aoki, as we are back to the top of the lineup, will be the hitter. 7th man to come to the plate here in the top of the second. Ooh, does that hurt? 038 hitter, the pitcher, and delivers on an 0-2 pitch. Aoki fly to center, and it took a good play by John Jay to put him away to start the game. One 0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes. Already this will be pitch number 33 upcoming of the ball game. Westbrook has recorded 5 outs. That's inside, nowhere close, 3-0.
Well, if you look at the inning, Corey Hart had a bloop hit to right. Jonathan Lucroy had a ground ball base hit to left. Could have been worse on that bunt had the play stood as it was originally called, where the umpire said that he missed Gomez. Another walk. So really not a lot of hard hit balls this inning. In fact, just one, and that was by the pitcher Fiers. But the leadoff walk to Aramis Ramirez set everything up this inning.
3-1 pitch. Hit down the line and foul. Last night we saw another start from Kyle Loesch, which he does not get a decision. So he's won his last 8 decisions. His first in Major League Baseball. His winning percentage is .875. That's tops in the National League. Bases are loaded after the walk. 3 walks in the inning. In steps Ricky Weeks. Derek Lilliquist, no visit yet. What we have seen with the expanded rosters, Mike Matheny has been pretty quick with the hook with these starters, knowing that he's got fresh arms in the pen.
There's plenty of them. Cardinals with 10 pitchers in their bullpen, 2 of them from the left side, Freeman and Zepchinski, and plenty of righties.
And Weeks takes a ball low and away, and time is called by Yadier Molina. They want to talk things over. Remember, Jake in his last start was Sunday afternoon against Washington. Pitched very well in that ball game, but as we talked about that particular time, situation, Rick dictated that he didn't want to lose the game at that point in time. And it was midway through where, you know, you're talking April, May, June, you stick with your starter, you lengthen the game if you can a little bit with him. But with all the fresh arms, you don't need to do that.
Needs to come up with a pitch here. When a pitcher's struggling, especially with his control, you start to lose confidence that you're going to throw the ball to the spot that the catcher calls for. And so you're somewhere between trying to make it happen and hoping that it happens. And when the hitter can just bounce one to the third baseman, he steps on the bag, you can just kind of breathe a sigh of relief.
Little chopper, and Westbrook steps and throws. It's high. And Weeks avoids a collision with Allen Craig. Strand, the bases loaded, but they pick up 2 midway through 2. Milwaukee on top. Again on Wednesday, Gary Pinkel and the Tigers start SEC play against a top 10 team. Welcome to the SEC. You have to think they're probably going nuts down the road right about now. Kickoff time, Mizzou and Georgia, so good luck to the Tigers in the SEC, and you can see more on that game tomorrow night. Well, as Ricky told you, it was quite the ball game for Yadier Molina. This 2-run homer in the 8th tied it up, and he did a little bit of everything, didn't he?
Yeah, he also threw out Ricky Weeks stealing. He was actually safe, I think, when we looked at the replay, but it didn't stop it being a great throw, and he also took third and made it very interesting. I believe that came in the 11th inning, and Molina's base running is also something that has become a weapon for him. Not just stealing an occasional base, but learning how to take that secondary lead and getting a jump on a pass ball, and that was key yesterday. Unfortunately, the Cardinals couldn't pick him up.
You look at the numbers for Molina: .323 average, 18 home runs, 65 RBIs. I realize we may be biased. We watch him every day, but it also gives us insight into just what he means to the team entirely. It's like having another coach out there and talk about Molina. Defensively, arguably the best, not just catcher, but maybe defensive player in all of baseball. And now his offense has caught up with the defense. I said this a while back, and I'll say it again. His name, in my opinion, should be in the conversation for MVP. Now, the home runs and the RBIs won't be there, but the full body of work of being involved in just about every play, that has to mean something too.
Well, every once in a while, the baseball writers will make kind of a collective effort to say, you know, it isn't all about home runs and RBIs. It's about leadership. It's about how do you make your team better. It's about defense. It's about how you run the bases. And so there are times where they'll think that way, and then they'll go back the other direction. And you know, he may ride a wave one year of just positive thoughts about his defense. That happened with Jimmy Rollins one year when he won the MVP, and because they felt that defense mattered. He takes that pitch at the knees. But Yadi, certainly anybody who follows the Cardinals knows what Yadier Molina means to St. Louis.
David Freese hitting .296, 18 home runs, the 75 RBIs. First pitch is popped up, and that'll find the seats out of play as catcher Lucroy gives it a look. After tomorrow, the Cardinals head out west, face San Diego. We'll also see the Dodgers, who just might be without Matt Kemp. Kemp has been dealing with a sore shoulder. Ran into the wall at Coors Field back on August 28th, and since that time he hasn't been the same player. They've noticed that the shoulder has affected him at the plate. As Freese picks up an extra base hit. On his way to second. A one-out double for David Freese. What you think about the chase for the wild card? That could be a huge loss for LA.
No question. And I'm really excited about seeing those Dodgers and some of the new faces there. David Freese keeps his hands back on this curveball. It's a 12-6 curveball. Really, you watch Fiers throw and you think, we can hit this guy. He's not overpowering, does not really wow you in any way with his stuff. So certainly a 2-0 deficit should not be difficult to overcome.
Runner at second base, and Schumacher looks at a strike. That's strike two. If the playoffs were to start right now, Cardinals would take on Atlanta for the right to be the wild card winner, so to speak. Cardinals would be the second team in. That team then would play Washington, and in the other division series it'd be the Giants and Cincinnati.
As it stands now.
As it stands now. A lot can change.
24 games remaining for St. Louis.
1-2. A's and the Orioles in the American League would play for the wild card. Winner there would get Texas. On the other side of the bracket, it'd be the Yankees and White Sox.
Cardinals go 16-8. They end up with 90 victories on the season. That's a nice round number. Doesn't necessarily mean one thing or another whether they'll be in or not, but I think it would give them certainly a good shot. But you know, the signs of this team going 16-8 aren't there yet. They could be if the offense gets on a roll. We've seen the Cardinals play that kind of baseball over a 2-week period or a 3-week period. But the time is now.
One-two pitch. Mentioned earlier that season is over for Steven Strasburg. He has been shut down. He's on an innings limit. Tommy John surgery in late 2010. 2/3 of an inning shy of 160 on the season. 2-2. Really took some off that pitch, and he missed the tag. So Lucroy fires to Hart. A strikeout of Schumacher. 2 in the inning, 2 in the game, and it brings in Descalso.
And most of our fans and baseball fans know this rule, but we every once in a while want to inform folks that maybe are casual baseball fans or new to the game. Why does he have to throw to first base? If first base is occupied and there's less than 2 outs, then you're not going to have to throw to first base. The batter can't advance after swinging and missing at a ball in the dirt that the catcher does not catch. But with first base unoccupied, the runner's got the option and the right to head to first base if the catcher doesn't catch that third strike. So again, baseball fans get it, I know, but we've got fans that want to learn the game, and that's one of the quirky rules of the game of baseball. And of course, with 2 outs, it's all fair and game. The catcher drops strike 3.
1-0 pitch to Descalso. So much focus of the media this year, especially recently, has been on Strasburg in the innings. Similar plan that they had with Jordan Zimmerman last year. He was shut down right after 160 at Tommy John, and nothing really was made of that because he wasn't Steven Strasburg and the team wasn't headed to postseason. And ironically, it's Davey Johnson who went to Rizzo and others in the front office and said after last night, watching Steven Strasburg, and they did say it'd be the eye test to an extent. He said, I think he's distracted with all this. Let's just shut him down, move on to next year. It's got to be tough for him, though, to accept that. That is a base hit into right field. Freeze being waved in. The throw from right is cut off. Descalso drives in the run. He tries to avoid the tag, and he does. Somehow he avoided that tag. And it's a 2-1 lead for Milwaukee after the RBI base hit. And no argument from the side of the Milwaukee Brewers.
Breaking pitch up in the zone. There's the RBI. The strong throw is cut off, and Descalso's willing to give up an out, but the runner basically establishes his own baseline. And so he did not go out of his baseline. Of course, he avoided the tag a bit, but he was still able to reach that second base bag on the dive. So outstanding agility for Daniel Descalso. He's such a heady player, isn't he?
He really is. And I thought we'd get an argument that they'd say he hopped out of the baseline, but there was no argument from short, second, or most importantly, Ron Renneke.
I think the fact that he landed on the base makes it a hard sell.
Sure. 0-1 pitch to Jake Westbrook. Tying run at second. Nothing at 2. It was Fiers who delivered on an 0-2 pitch the top half of this inning to drive in a run. The 0-2 pitch. Foul tip.
Here's Descalzo. He knows he's caught, but he also sees that the throw takes Bianchi a little bit to his left, so he cannot recover in time. And Descalzo again able to reach the bag on his little dive. No argument from Bianchi.
Oh, 2. Foul back. 2-1 lead for Milwaukee as we play here in the bottom of the second. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Along with Rick Horton, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes, Pat Paris with us as well.
Nice to get that run back.
Gomez plays a very deep center field, even with the pitcher up. Westbrook strikes out and fires, screams into his glove. Not happy. Braun leads it off when we come back. Brought to you by MyKiaSt.Louis.com. And get the All-American Jack Combo at Jack in the Box. It's a no-nonsense burger with fries and a drink for only $4.99 plus tax at participating stores. Beautiful night here in St. Louis. Cardinals trailing in the ball game 2-1 as we move to the top of the third.
Jake Westbrook, the kind of pitcher that can have a bad inning and then go out and just retire about 12 guys in a row. Once he gets kind of locked in at the bottom of the strike zone, he tends to just kind of mow hitters down, and really nothing fancy. Kind of a short armor.
Braun hits it sharply up the middle and a base hit. Past Descalso, gets another start tonight at shortstop. And Ryan Braun is aboard. 1 for 2 on the night.
Behind in the count, you have to be a little bit more. Get a little less nasty, I guess, a better way to say it, when you just have to throw a strike. That's always a dangerous situation with somebody like Braun at the plate. 38 homers, 100 RBIs.
And here is Ramirez. Walked and scored back in the second inning. Ramirez sat out last night's ball game. Gets the start here in game number 2. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Leads the National League in doubles with 43 and has always hit the Cardinals well.
Dealing with a lower back issue as Braun is back in safely. He's trying to make it his 7th 100 RBI season. And speaking of Ramirez, close play here at first. He said if he tweaks his back again, he's probably done for the year. And that's a liner out to left field, base hit. Braun on his way to third. So he was running on the pitch, and it's first and third, and nobody out.
Well, we don't have the settled down Jake Westbrook yet, that's for sure. A couple of hits to start this inning. That pitch, not a bad location. Milwaukee runs very well. They have a number of players in their lineup that can steal bases. Braun goes first to third, and they seem to be playing with a lot of energy too, Dan. You just watch them running every ball out, and we saw Weeks do that last inning. We saw Gomez yesterday and today just flying around the field. I mean, they're playing hard.
Slowly hit, and Schumacher can't come up with it. Everybody is safe. Run scores to make it 3-1. An error on the play. And everybody is safe.
Schumacher almost at the same time as Ramirez, and I think he's actually thinking about catching the ball and trying to tag Ramirez, but doesn't come up with the baseball or Ramirez.
5 hits already for Milwaukee. The first air charge to St. Louis. Runners at first and second. Lucroy takes a ball. Singled, scored a run back in the second inning. Game last night, the Pirates committed 7 errors against the Chicago Cubs. 7. At this level, that is hard to do.
Hard to imagine that.
First time that it happened in the big leagues since all the way back in 2004. One ball, 1 strike. 2-1. Jake just steps off the mound, tries to gather himself. Lucroy had a game earlier this year. He knocked in 7 runs. Ground ball, that's a base hit. The bases will be loaded. They'll hold up the runner Ramirez at third. And still there is nobody out. And you've got to wonder if Mike Matheny is thinking along with Derek Lilliquist that let's get somebody up to make sure that this game doesn't get too far out of reach with a couple of base hits.
I'd say it's time right now with the bases loaded, nobody out. Jake Westbrook does not look sharp either with his command or with his off-speed pitch. Too many walks and his sliders hanging a bit. And you mentioned earlier you've got a deep bullpen. You don't need to go that far with him if it's just not his day.
Now it's Gomez. Very tough to turn to with him at the plate. His speed becomes a factor with anything on the ground. The corners for the most part are in, and up the middle about halfway. 1-0 pitch with the bases loaded. 1 ball, 1 strike. Three singles and an error in this inning alone. Popped up. And Schumacher will make the catch. Runners stay put. Big out there. You've got the 8th place hitter.
Not a good at-bat for Gomez. He reaches for that ball and just kind of a flat, lazy swing. And Gomez wasn't happy with himself. And I'm sure his manager, Ron Renicky, and his hitting coach, Johnny Nairn, probably not happy either with that at-bat. But he's had a nice season. He's really kind of come of age a bit. We've heard about Gomez for a number of years being a star of the future, and it just hasn't happened. But you can see with his athleticism why everybody gets excited about him.
Shortstop Bianchi has a situation where he's just 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. I say that, but you look at the home runs, the RBIs, and he's got a chance to do some damage here. Bases are loaded. Only one out. How about a double play ball? Descalso to Schumacher on to first. Got him! It's a double play. Could have been much worse. 6-4-3 on the double play. And with the bases loaded, nobody out, the Brewers do not score in that situation. They do, though, overall pick up a run in the third. Back to the play at first. Was he out? Was he safe? Cardinals may have caught a break.
I'd say so.
So bases loaded and nobody out. Milwaukee does not score. Carlos Beltran is not a part of this lineup tonight. On the bench, did start game 1, and with more on that, let's check in with Jim Hayes. Hello, Jim.
Hi, Dan. Carlos Beltran 0 for 5 last night, and he's really scuffling of late, hitting 197 since July 1st. He's dealt with hand issues, he's dealt with knee issues, and Mike Matheny saying, however, that his recent struggles are not physical, however, they're mechanical. Beltran confirming that today, saying he lobbied to play tonight, but instead will use the downtime to get his swing straightened out. He says that when you go through all the physical things that he has gone through, sometimes it can mess with his mechanics, and that's where he is now.
And that makes sense as Jay, check swing, grounds out to third. You hear it all the time, Rick, that a player, to try to overcompensate for a potential injury, then develops bad habits. They get back to being healthy, and they still then have that mechanical flaw.
That can happen in hitting. It can happen with pitchers trying to overcome something that they've got going on with their elbow or their shoulder, or really anything else for that matter. But it also happens defensively. If you've got some kind of issue, you'll try to kind of play around it. You play around the pain or the discomfort or the achiness or whatever you want to say, and you can develop bad habits there as well. And for Beltran, clearly he has not swung the bat in the last 3 weeks like we saw early in the season, and he's not the same guy. And boy, it'd be a big shot in the arm if he could get that back and become that guy again. Cardinals really missing offensively. Home run production for St. Louis is down.
He's the kind of guy, too, that will tell you when he's going good, if he's hurt, he's not going to say a word. When he's going bad, if he's hurt, he's not going to use that as an excuse. As Carpenter breaks his bat or even lost his bat, both, winds up in the stands, and Matt Carpenter has himself a broken bat base hit, but very scary as that bat went flying into the seats. Let's hope that the fans are okay. Just a little piece of the bat stayed on the field, the rest of it flying into the seats.
Everybody seems to be okay, shaken up a bit clearly as that bat struck a lady in about the fourth row, and she's getting some attention and a big hug, but I think she's all right.
Matt Holliday is the hitter. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Holliday rips it down the left field line. Will it stay fair? Definitely deep enough and foul. Come to the ballpark, you don't expect to get a souvenir up there just to the left of Big Mac land and about 10 rows up. Goodness.
Yeah, it was deep enough for any ballpark on the planet. How foul was it? Plenty foul, but plenty long.
One ball, one strike on Matt Holliday.
You know, that was good to see, even though it was just a strike.
Yeah. Lets it loose with that sore back. One ball and two strikes. You know, Matt Carpenter, when he got to first, was talking to Chris Maloney about something on his hand or maybe his fingers after that at bat. And now the medical staff is out to check on him. So they tend to Carpenter, dealing with some type of finger or hand issue. We should tell you, too, they are tending to the fan. And certainly hope that that fan is okay. She is standing up and walking away and seems to be okay in that regard. Scary situation. You come to the ballpark where you hear about it all the time and we talk about it. The line drives, the broken bats. Looks to be some blood on Carpenter.
Very awkward how the bat just flew out of his hand, and we're going to see Adrian Chambers pinch run for him.
So Chambers came in the ball game late. We saw him play left field last night and throw out Martin Maldonado, trying to advance to a double on a ball off the wall. He threw him out. We've been impressed with his arm, and he's in the ball game. Carpenter is through as he exits, and this is the at bat with Matt Carpenter, and let's take a look.
It actually isn't the entire bat that went in the stands. He had just a small piece that stayed with him.
And there's a strikeout of Holiday, who was left standing that whole time. And unique about Matt Carpenter, he said it's his trademark now, but he doesn't wear batting gloves.
Right.
Saw a shot of the young lady that was leaving, a guest of a gentleman that we know and a friend of Fox Sports Midwest. That was Ed Curtis, who is here celebrating his 70th birthday here at the ballpark. So certainly wish Ed a happy birthday, and let's hope everybody is okay. 2 outs and a runner at first and a 3-1 lead. A check on Chambers. It's 4 strikeouts for Fiers. 2 outs, runner at first. Alan Craig at the plate. Craig has lined out. Fiers one of those guys, Rick, that really varies up the speeds with his breaking ball.
Yeah, he does. He has kind of a hard breaking ball and then a real slow one. But really, again, he's not nasty. He's not a guy that, when you watch him, you think, boy, this guy's going to have a great season, but he is doing pretty well. ERA just barely over 3 on a team that really hasn't won a lot and hasn't had a lot of bullpen help. So he's doing it on his own, and he's kind of come out of nowhere. He's not really one of their top prospects. Was not a high-round draft choice, none of that. But he has certainly learned how to pitch. He was their minor league pitcher of the year a year ago.
With this combination right now, as slow as some of these pitches are to the plate, the speed of Chambers, you want to test Jonathan Lucroy.
I don't want to test him, but I want Adrian Chambers to.
I wouldn't want you to
I
either.
guess that's what you meant.
I've seen you at fantasy camp.
Right. All right, Dan. What goes on at fantasy camp
stays at fantasy camp. I got you. But I think
next year you are hitting, and I'm pitching.
I am there to make sure,
and I'm filming it.
Oh, no. I'm there to take it all in and film it. And
yeah, you'll take it all in, all right.
Make sure there's a record of everything.
Fastball in the ribs.
I was expecting much worse. A little higher and into my left ear. I know that's what
starting
would
to sound
coming.
a little more like Al every day.
Well, I was going to say, if Al was on the mound, that's where his pitch will be coming. But I'm not sure we'd see Al on the mound.
I think his 95-mile-an-hour fastball days are over.
Yep. 1-1 pitch, fouled back. I should mention that Rick and Al together for many years have put together the fantasy camp. The Hall of Famers come down. Some of the biggest names Cardinals history are there. They're in uniform. They're out chatting it up, playing catch, hitting, taking grounders, teaching. It's truly fantasy. It's fantasy land. It's fantasy camp.
And we're preparing for next January. Lou Brock, Ozzie Smith, Bruce Sutter, Whitey Herzog will all be there, along with 20 other former players that will play against the campers. And you don't even have to be a player to come to. You don't have to have experience. It's just being there, and the banter and just the Cardinal celebration really is what it is. It's just so much fun. And it benefits Hire Heroes USA, which is a organization that helps find jobs for returning men and women who are serving overseas. They come back and they are disconnected and they need to get back into the workforce. And this group, Hire Heroes USA, does a fantastic job of reconnecting them into the perfect job for them.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Chambers the runner at first. Long look by Fiers. He's not running, and that's hit out of play. For people that would like to sign up, and I know a lot of sons and daughters and wives send their dads or husbands as a present for whatever reason, to the camp. So how do you sign up?
Well, you can do it at stlcardinals.com. They will get a link for you, or you could go to Hire Heroes USA to their website, and that is another way, and also just legendscamp.com and St. Louis legendscamp.com, and you can get all kinds of information about signing up. And boy, I'd love to have you. It is highlight of my year.
And I should mention as well, many ladies are there too. They play baseball too.
No doubt.
Really enjoy the experience. 2-2 the count as Chambers is causing fits down there at first base.
It's what he does. Loved his interview with Jim Hayes in our pregame show. Has a lot of personality.
The 2-2. Craig hits it. Fair. Off the sidewall. Let's watch Chambers run. On his way to third. They'll hold him up. And Craig will wind up at second base. Adrian Chambers can absolutely fly. With 2 outs, you thought that Oquendo may test Ryan Braun.
Chambers was flying around third base, and I did think he'd send him. Cardinals trailing by 2, but look at the wheels of Chambers rounding second, headed to third. He's thinking about scoring, and at the last minute he's held up. It would have been a tough play at the plate, and I know it would have been a close play, but I guess with Yadier Molina coming up, perhaps you want to give him a shot at the RBIs, but with 2 outs, if you think you can score him, send him.
So a double for Craig. Molina struck out looking first time up. Outfield very deep for Yadi. Strike. Fans don't like that call. Neither did Molina. Runners at second and third. 0-1 pitch. Molina with a high fly ball into right center. Gomez calling for it. He's got it. The Cardinals strand 2, and they trail by 2. We head to the 4th. It's game 2 between Milwaukee and St. Louis. Don't forget about MLB.com at Bat 12. Watch our coverage down the stretch. Wherever you may be on your favorite devices, you can see it in HD quality. MLB.tv. A strike to Mike Fiers, who singled on an 0-2 pitch his first time up. Quickly 2 strikes, and you go back to the top of the third, Rick, that could have been a lot worse.
No doubt.
Bases loaded, nobody out. Gomez coming up. He would pop out to Schumacher, and then a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. Maybe that's the confidence, that little jolt that Westbrook needs to get on track here tonight.
Well, that's what we've been waiting for, isn't it? I mean, we know he's capable of doing that. We've seen him do it, where he can get on a roll, and struggled in that second inning, and the third inning didn't start out any better.
High chopper towards third, and Freese makes the play for the first out. Back to the top of the lineup. 1 out, nobody on. Aoki will be the hitter. Chambers, by the way, stays in the ball game to take over for Carpenter in right. Take it just a bit low.
And you hope that's not something that would be a lingering injury for Matt Carpenter, the way he's swinging the bat. The Cardinals have already dealt with injuries, of course, with Berkman and Beltran and Holiday. Need to be healthy in September.
Curious to know exactly what he did. Now, it was the broken bat on the swing, and maybe part of the bat caught the hand. We did see some blood on the pants, the jersey of Matt Carpenter.
And as you mentioned, not wearing batting gloves, that's a kind of a unique thing to Matt Carpenter, that perhaps that going to make him more vulnerable to being hurt by a sliver from a broken bat. And he really had barely the knob of the bat in his hand, not much more than that. The rest of the bat flew in the stands. Really kind of an odd way for a bat to break that close to the knob of the bat, and kind of carried it halfway down to first base and then just kind of tossed it.
There's some of the bat right there. The bats do shatter differently. The maple bats, which really became popular with Bonds, a lot of times you'll see those that when they do break, they have the sharper finish. You see sometimes the bat almost looks like a knife when it breaks, and you have the ash bats that you hear about. A couple of years ago, baseball really did a study on this to try to figure out how to regulate it a little bit better with weight, and also how long the bats are, also how they shave down the handle. Strikeout on the outside corner, and Weeks doesn't like that. Second strikeout for Westbrook, both of Ricky Weeks. tomorrow. Also, kids can run the bases after the game tomorrow. And there are $9 seats available. Cardinals.com right now. $9 seats. And with that, you get your free ticket to Six Flags for the kids. And after the game, they can run the bases. Here's David Freese, who was part of that remarkable run last year, 18-8 in September to get into October. You wouldn't think the Cardinals would have to do that this year to get in.
What did I ask for? 16-8.
Yes, you did.
That's a lot to ask for, huh? I guess, how about if I go with 14-10? What do you think that's enough?
You'd be on the cusp.
You bet.
Get you right around that 90 win mark.
We don't want to be on the edge anymore. We tried. We've done that once. Let's just go ahead and go with the 16-8, win 90 games, get that wild card spot, get hot, and play for a while.
1-2 pitch. Freese putting it in play. Slowly hit to first, and Hart will take it himself. Freese is 1 for 2 with a double and a run scored. Email the booth question presented by carsoup.com. Rick in St. Paul. Do you think managers should still be wearing player uniforms?
Well, there's some that find it odd that in baseball managers still wear uniforms where in other sports you don't. And I don't see any problem with it. I think there's some unique things about baseball. You could also ask the question, should baseball move to have a clock? And I would say no to that. And I'm okay with the managers wearing uniforms.
I think
others may feel different.
95 degrees out and no breeze in St. Louis. I expect Mike Matheny in a 3-piece suit.
Right. Yeah, what's the alternative?
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
Go back to the White Sox when they had the shorts. Remember that for a while? Could do that.
The difference with coaches in baseball is they've always been considered uniform personnel. You're actually allowed on the field. It's not exactly the same as other sports. You get the third base coach and the first base coach who are actually on the field. The pitching coach comes out to the mound to talk to his pitcher. I mean, there's a reason why the uniforms in baseball are handled that way. And again, part of the reason is that they did it in the late 1800s or early 1900s, so we just do what we used to do, and that's not all bad in baseball. I like the fact that baseball tries to hold on to some of the traditions and the values, but still adapting from time to time when necessary.
There are rules about uniforms and how they're worn by the coaches and the manager, as far as what you wear underneath. For instance, what Derek Lilliquist is wearing tonight, the pullover. And also a rule change this year, there's Derek, was during BP. They can wear the quote-unquote the undershirt, which does have a Cardinal logo on it, so it's not wearing a batting practice jersey, so to speak. That just changed this season. The 2-2. Out in front and pops it up a mile high. Gomez is under it. The center fielder puts it away. And an easy inning in the bottom of the fourth for Mike Fiers. The Rams head to Detroit to take on the Lions. Then it's America's game of the week. 49ers and Packers at Lambeau. Coverage begins this week with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show. That's tomorrow at 11. Rams at Lions tomorrow. Jeff Fisher era officially kicks off. Ryan Braun will lead it off. It'll be Braun, Ramirez, and Hart. This is the part of the lineup that got it going back in the third. And Braun a base hit into right field.
He's done a lot of first ball hitting in this series. And for the fans that don't like players swinging at the first pitch, Ryan Braun shows you why it can work.
Folks enjoying the ball game in Big Mac land. Don't forget dollar off discounts on McCafe products at all St. Louis McDonald's restaurants. 2 to 5 every day. Shakes, iced drinks, real fruit smoothies, all at McDonald's. Here's Ramirez. And Rick, you think about Braun, the only way that he can quiet critics is to put up numbers like he did in the past. Well, he's not only done that, but then you also have to think about the fact of what's behind him and how he's being pitched this year, as opposed to having Prince Fielder behind him. And that's not to take away anything from Ramirez, who's had a good year when healthy, but
he's not Prince Fielder.
He's not Prince Fielder.
You certainly can't fault his production. Best power numbers in the National League. Really become a decent left fielder too, and 23 stolen bases, 29 attempts. Really shows how complete a player he is. And again, Milwaukee's just been not afraid to run on Yadier Molina. They're just kind of pushing the pedal to the floor here in this series, and there goes Braun again.
Molina fires to second. Goodbye. Not even close. Schumacher barely had to even move the glove.
Well, Molina's been right at 45% all season long. Every other runner gets thrown out, and this time the victim is Ryan Braun, and you're right, not even close. So a break for St. Louis as Ramirez works a walk.
On base for the third time. The walks have been an issue tonight for Westbrook. That's number 4.
Not like him. Not like him this year. Last year he had a lot more walks. Started picking a bit instead of just going at the bottom of the strike zone. He's really laboring today. This does not seem 100%. It was kind of a forced slider right there. Just kind of pulled it down, and you could just, it wasn't smooth at all, the delivery of Westbrook. So he's kind of searching for that right delivery. And when you're doing that, as I've said before, pitching is hard work.
One-0 pitch. Taken just a bit outside. 2-0 on Corey Hart. Hart has singled and also reached on an air. Rosenthal, the right-hander, getting loose for St. Louis. Hart with a high fly ball into center. Two outs. The All-Star game this year, Ryan Braun was asked about the potential of the MVP, and he said, speaking from experience, in his opinion, the main reason that he won the award last year was that the team had more success. Matt Kemp individually had a better season. I don't think there's any question about that, but
right,
the Brewers' team success had a big reason why, in his opinion, as to why he won the individual award.
Well, as you mentioned yesterday, the reality is there are people that will vote for MVP based on how your team does, and some will just look at these statistics in and of themselves, and I'm kind of more in that camp. I just think it's the guy who had the best year in the league. It's a league MVP. It's not an MVP for the best teams in the league. It's an MVP for the whole league, and so I don't have a problem with some of the guys in the past. Andre Dawson as an example of a guy who played on a team that was below 500, yet he was the MVP of the league. I don't have a problem with that. Others do. So I do think Matt Kemp should have been the MVP a year ago. And not sure how I feel about the suspension issue for Ryan Braun, but in terms of numbers alone, Braun deserves it this year.
Jonathan Lucroy at the plate. 2 outs, runner at first. Cardinals trailing 3-1 here in the top of the 5th. That's strike 2.
And I say he deserves it this year as of now. And game 139, a lot can happen in 24 games. He could go 0 for 96. Then I'll take it away from him.
Cardinals have 2 right-handers now up and throwing in the pen. Westbrook, his spot is due up first in the home half of this 5th inning. Oh, 0-2 pitch. Fly ball into right. Chambers makes the catch. Milwaukee strands a runner. They have stranded 6 on the night. 3-1 Brewers. The 3rd annual 6K run. It'll be a week from tomorrow. In honor of Stan the Man, the 6K. All the benefit Cardinals Care. Cardinals Care has raised over $18 million since 1997. Distributed through the area to children. Cardinals.com/6K if you'd like to participate. Jackie Joyner-Kersee is there at the finish line to put a medal on you. Cardinals.com/6K. Here's Ryan Jackson. He'll be the pinch hitter for Jake Westbrook. His night is through. 3-1 Milwaukee. And that pitch is in the dirt. So it's Jackson, Jay, and Chambers. Word we get on Matt Carpenter. He had a laceration on each hand. Again, we saw the blood after the broken bat. Stood at first base for about 3 or 4 pitches during the holiday at bat, then was replaced by Chambers.
The term they used was superficial wounds on both of his hands. So that's I guess a better word than other things we could hear. And they expect, as we're told, Dan, that he should be ready to play tomorrow.
Westbrook on the night, 5 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits. He walked 4, strikes out 2, 77 pitches on the night. 1-2 pitch to Jackson. Took something off it and a strikeout. Fires has struck out 5.
I think it's the right move with Jake Westbrook right now to take him out after 5 innings. 3 runs, but it feels like it could have been worse. And certainly laboring and clearly not sharp with his pitches at this point. So I think you're going to kind of minimize the damage and just say, leave it at that with the 5 innings. And as you mentioned early in the telecast, a lot of arms in that bullpen, and why not give him some work? Cardinals still have some work to do to find out what the right bullpen combination is. I think they're getting closer to that. I think Mujica has helped settle down the bullpen. Mitchell Boggs has been good in the 8th, except for a couple of appearances lately. And Mott's been dynamite in the 9th. But the next 2 or 3 pitchers in that rotation is kind of up for grabs right now.
One ball and 2 strikes. Carpenter on the horizon. Shelby Miller. They talked about him being kind of a long man, if not maybe even getting a start. That's hit out of play. Carpenter, by the way, will throw to hitters again on Monday when we're in San Diego. And then after that, reevaluate the next step. You're starting to run out of games, but they think it could be quite the boost to get him back on the mound. 1-2 pitch. Put in play by Jay. Slowly hit. Tough play for the shortstop, Bianchi. And safe at first is Jay. A base hit for John Jay, his first of the night. He's 1 for 3.
Bianchi had trouble getting that ball out of his glove, but it's the speed of John Jay that made him rush it just a bit. On the transition, just that little hesitation to get the right grip makes it an infield hit.
John Jay with 47 hits in his last 31 games. That includes tonight. Here's Chambers with his first at bat of the evening in replace of Matt Carpenter. Think about his speed. It's going to open up some holes on this infield as they'll check on the runner. That's Jay.
You saw him in his last at bat try to slap one the other way. I think Ramirez playing as far off the line as he is at third. I could just see Chambers trying to slap one right past him.
1 out, runner at first. That's John Jay. Big gap into right center. Chambers a guest on the pregame show tonight. Let's check in with Jim Hayes.
Dan, as you know, Chambers had quite a ride last season. He was with the Cards as they rolled to a World Series championship. I asked him if he kept that World Series ring or gave it to his family. His response, my family got the money, referring to the World Series shares. I kept the ring. He has an infectious kind of personality, and guys, I think you'll agree, a certain energy that's visible when he's on the field.
I don't think there's any doubt.
Yeah, you're right, Jim, and I love Jim's question to him about what do you take from last season? What's one of your best memories of last season? And you expected the mad dash home with Carlos Marmol, or winning the World Series, or the parade, or whatever. And the word he used, I loved what he said. He said, my favorite memory of last year is the bonding that took place with guys on my team. That's what I take from that experience, is the guys I got close to. And boy, I really resonated with me, and just appreciated how clear he was at communicating just how important his teammates were to him.
Think about the '82 team brought back to Busch Stadium, 30 years of the anniversary. And that's what you're talking about, Rick. The bonding is you'll always remember Chambers as a part of that team, and a couple of memorable moments for him.
Yeah, there's certainly times where you'll forget about different games and different pitches and different scores, but the people you remember and the experiences that you have together. I mean, the joy of being a World Series champion for Adrian Chambers at such a young age connects to other people that he shared that with.
It's huge. John Jay, the runner at first after an infield hit. 1 down, the 2-1 pitch to Chambers. Jay is running. Chambers puts it in play, but pushes it foul.
This is a run and a bunt. Tried to angle that down the third base line and just set the angle a little bit too wide. And I think that had something to do with Ramirez being so far off the bag and so deep at third.
2 strikes. He backs up just a bit. Jay is running again. The pitch is hit on the ground to second. Weeks goes to first, and Chambers retired. And it brings in Matt Holliday with 2 outs, and he represents the tying run. What's on tap is brought to you by Budweiser. Markham and Kelly tomorrow. Markham is a free agent to be, trying to prove that he's healthy going into the offseason. 5-4. Joe Kelly, where would the Cardinals be without Joe Kelly and what he's delivered this season? 5-6, and Budweiser brings you our What's on Tap.
Joe Kelly has been good as a starter. He was outstanding as a reliever in a couple of appearances out of the Cardinals' pen, and you can project him in either place.
Holliday has walked and was struck out back in the third.
He's very close, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And he put one, if you're just joining us, just to the left of Big Mac land, about 10 rows up, just foul. And even just missing 3 days, how that can throw off the timing of a Major League Baseball player, and that's what's happened maybe with Holliday, missing some time. 1-1. Big gap into left center field. 1-1 pitch.
John Jay thought about taking third. He got a nice walking lead. Fires wasn't paying attention to him, and he just kept walking, and then thought about going. And you wonder whether, with Matt Holliday at the plate, that he just thought, well, I don't want to disrupt him, and if he's going to get a pitch he can hit, let's just let him go.
A 2-1 pitch. 3-1. Alan Craig on deck. It's the kind of thing, too, if you're John Jay, a couple things play into that. You have to be sure you're going to be safe. But secondly, there is talk at times about the vision of the hitter and not trying to mess up things, especially with a guy that could tie it up with one swing.
Yeah, and the hitter should be focused on the pitcher's hand, and that's about it, where the ball's coming out of his hand. But you're going to see things in the background.
The 3-1.
Oof. Seems to bother some hitters and others it doesn't.
Matt Holliday following that pitch back. He, along with Ryan Braun, Cabrera, fielder, the teammates in Detroit, all putting up big numbers with the 300-plus average.
25 home runs or more, 80 RBIs or more, just 4 in all of baseball that can claim all 3 of those milestones at this point.
Count is full. Runner at second, John Jay. Holliday sitting on 25. And again, right on that pitch, fouls it back.
That's one way to describe your MVP.
Yeah. Good
candidates.
Point. I was thinking the same thing, looking at that.
He may not get a hit, but this has been a comfortable at bat for Matt Holliday. Seeing the ball well.
The 3-2 pitch. Off speed pitch, hit down the left field line, out in front, and yanked it foul.
And a comfortable at bat for Matt Holliday is not something a pitcher wants to be thinking about. You can see it. I mean, that's the fun part of the pitcher-hitter confrontation that goes on. You can tell whether somebody's being fooled by what you're doing or somebody just can't wait for you to throw one more pitch. And you just feel like you want to call for the pitching screen. Put it up in front of you because you're not sure that you've got any chance of getting this guy out.
It's another 3-2 pitch on its way. And he walked him. Best way to describe that. Exactly right, Rick. Comfortable. And he was seeing the pitches. He was following those pitches straight back. Seemed to be locked in.
A pitcher can tell if you throw a fastball down and away first pitch, and let's say you miss by 3 inches, you can tell by how the hitter takes that pitch whether he was on it or not, in terms of the way his body may have swayed towards you or pulled off, or maybe he was late on it. I mean, there's just a way that they take it where you know their timing's right. So it kind of scares you a bit as a pitcher. You think, boy, I'm going to have to do something to disrupt this timing because he's locked into me right now.
Here is Craig. Fire's spot is due up third, looking ahead to the top of the 6th. Right around that 90 pitch mark. 2 outs, 2 on.
Then
Craig looks at a pitch high.
Then there's the guys that would fool you, like Willie McGee. Bounce a curveball off the plate and he'd take a wild swing and you say, look, I got this guy. All I got to do is do that again. Throw the same pitch. He's hit one about 420 off his front foot.
Some of the ugliest swings you'd ever see.
No doubt.
You know, Jim was talking about the personality of Chambers, and I was thinking also about certain guys. When you watch them run, it's a jolt to the team. It's fun to watch a guy go from first to third or a triple. Chambers, one of those guys, but McGee was so much fun to watch run.
No question. I'll tell you, the Brewers in this series have had guys that look like they've got fresh legs.
Gomez.
And they're running hard. Ricky Weeks, another. Ryan Braun plays the game hard.
The 2-0 pitch. 3-0.
The Yankee, the shortstop. I've watched every one of them run the bases. And this is a team that's kind of hungry right now. Cardinals are a team that's searching. They know they can hit. They know they're good. But Ron Renneke was runner-up to Kirk Gibson a year ago for Manager of the Year in the National League. Off to a bad start this year, but he has his guys playing right now.
Playing loose. You can see that.
Agreed.
Turn him loose on 3-0. There go the runners, and a throw down to third. No, he puts it in his back pocket. Doesn't matter. It's ball 4. 3-0. They start the runners. And now, after the walk, bases loaded for Yadier Molina.
Well, 3-0 starting the runners is a little risky. But with John Jay, you could just tell that entire time he was out at second base, he just knew he could steal third if he had the green light and the opportunity. And if that would have been a strike, I don't think there was a chance of throwing him out, and that would have put 2 runners in scoring position. So not a bad move for him to make, but even better with it being ball 4 and Yadier Molina, who's hitting .348 with runners in scoring position at the plate.
And he has hit so well this season against Milwaukee. Years past, this is a team that's had his numbers, but not this year. Yadier Molina, back in 2010, a grand slam against Milwaukee. Pedro Feliz sighting on that.
I couldn't remember who that was.
Needed some help at third. 2 outs and bases loaded. And Molina pops it up on the first pitch after back-to-back walks. Gomez calling for it. He's got it. Cardinals waste an opportunity. St. Louis is stranded 7. After 5, it's 3-1. baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to our studio. Pat Paris standing by with a Bomberito Sports Update. All right, Pat, thanks. And the Cardinals 8.5 back of Cincinnati, and this is the current standings in the wild card as well. And you include Milwaukee now in that, 6 out.
Yeah, we were including Arizona not that long ago, but now Milwaukee has made that list. Trevor Rosenthal, our Mid-America Chevy dealers, called to the bullpen. Rosenthal has shown a very good fastball. We've seen his curveball as well be very competitive for this level. A bunt attempt.
This is Gomez, and the throw is wild as Freese stumbled on the mound. And Gomez stops at second base. Ball got away. And it's a base hit and an E5 on the play. The Cardinals' second error that they've committed in the ballgame.
Freese tries to make the spectacular play here on the bunt attempt. He reads it pretty well, and he barehands it. The throw just wide, and looks like Alan Craig may have had his foot stepped on too at first base. He went down hard. Freese went down hard, and boy, you start looking at the way the Cardinals are playing of late, and they just feel, it seems like they're all achy. I mean, there's so many Cardinal players have little minor injuries, and you try to get them rest the best you can, but Craig went down, Freese went down, and we all know the rest of that list of injured players that Mike Matheny's dealing with, which includes Rafael Furcal, who we will not see.
Bianchi, the bunt attempt for strike one. 10 strikeouts in 10 2/3 innings. Start his career for Trevor Rosenthal. Westbrook made the start for the Cardinals. 5 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits. Cardinals will get into the bullpen of Milwaukee in the bottom of the 6th. We assume right-hander is throwing in the bullpen, and Niger Morgan is moved to the on-deck circle in the spot that would be occupied by Fiers. One pitch, showing bunt again, and this time he gets it down. Craig to first. Schumacher covering, and the sacrifice is good. 3-4 on the play. If you'd like to be here in person or maybe on the road with us in San Diego or LA, get your tickets at StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the world champion Cardinals. Knight is through for Fiers. He goes 5 innings tonight, just like the Cardinals starter. And he has a chance to pick up the win. Taylor Green will be the pinch hitter. He started in the ballgame last night. 198 average, couple of home runs, 11 RBIs. Infield is drawn in.
Even on that bunt attempt, Dan, it seemed as if the Brewers were moving at two notches faster than the Cardinals were. Everything about that play, the bunt, the runner, they are just playing loose and free right now.
Taylor Green had a long trip to get to St. Louis. It began on Vancouver Island, ended in St. Louis yesterday. Initially, he was passed over by the Brewers, and they made their call-ups, and then was added late to back up Aramis Ramirez. Got the call on Thursday. It was just outside of Spokane, Washington. He was on a long drive home to British Columbia, Canada, and he made that trip from Nashville, Tennessee. That is a long, long drive. Then he gets the call, and I'm sure it's one he'll take to come back to the big leagues.
And then an at-bat in the 13th inning at about 2:15 in the morning.
That's right. Missed just inside at 97. Played briefly with the Brewers earlier this year. He hit 198 in 44 games. Hit 279 rest of the season at Nashville.
Important run to choke off there at third base. In Gomez. Squeeze a possibility.
We saw that Ron Renicky did that last night, even with a left-handed bat, which then would give you the indication that the catcher can see it a little bit better. What's happening with that runner down at third?
Well, if the runner leaves when he's supposed to, the catcher can look all he wants, but it's too late.
Got him. Blew it right by him. 97 miles an hour from Rosenthal. Big strikeout.
Went up the ladder with him. Couldn't catch up with the high hard one.
Think about this game thus far. The Brewers, and really both teams, have had very good opportunities. The Brewers had the bases loaded, nobody out, did not score. They have a runner at third, just one out. Now the strikeout. Here's Aoki, and if you get out of this jam, you're feeling pretty good if you're St. Louis.
No question. Could be a whole lot worse. Fiers threw 96 pitches in his 5 innings of work against St. Louis, so they worked the count quite a bit against him. He walked 3 batters, did strike out 5. I wouldn't say he was spectacular, but 1 run in 5 innings. He's on the plus side of the decision right now. Things hold where they are now.
Out of play, nothing in 2. Aoki has walked. He has flied out to center and also grounded out to second. You and I are in the camp that is awfully high, along with many others, on Trevor Rosenthal and what he brings to the Cardinals.
Part of that is what we saw in spring training from him. He was just lights out then. Everybody was talking about him. Everybody was touting him, and that's why. Good, solid fastball, and he gets out of the 6th. Cardinals trail by 2. Freeze when we come back.
Midwest is brought to you by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Ford, the official vehicles of the St. Louis Cardinals. The Burns family is here, and Courtney Byrne she will turn 8 on Monday and celebrating the birthday a little bit early here at the ballpark. So, you know, Courtney, her brothers, mom and dad, give her a ring, say happy birthday. Her birthday will be on Monday, but celebrating, why not, a little early here at the ballpark. The ageless wonder. He's not 8. I'm not sure what age he is. But he's still going in the major leagues, and that's our Chevy call to the pen, Livan Hernandez.
15-year major league career. He's bounced around quite a bit. The ERA not very good for Hernandez, but you know, he's a guy that just knows how to pitch. He throws, well, I'm going to say slow. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but let's just say he doesn't throw hard. How about that? Last couple of years he was with the Washington Nationals. Been a starter a lot of his career, a 15-game winner, 2 different seasons.
And that's a base hit by David Freese. So yet again, the tying run for the Cardinals will come to the plate.
You have to stay back a little bit out front on that pitch for Hernandez, but the more you can stay back, the more you can hit this right-hander, and he's really got a outstanding changeup. He's a really good athlete too. Doesn't necessarily look the part, but he has managed to be competitive for a long time. Teams give up on him. Somebody else gives him a chance.
Very good hitter.
And at one point, the Brewers made him their closer. They were having so much trouble with Axford and Francisco Rodriguez that Hernandez, at 37 years of age, from Cuba, became their closer, throwing 83 miles an hour.
Had very good years with San Francisco and the Florida Marlins at the time.
You know what they call 83-mile-an-hour fastball pitchers in the big league? Left-handed. You can't be right-handed and do that. Maybe knuckleballers, maybe, but you got to be lefty with a slider for that to work.
1-1 pitch to Skip Schumacher.
And even that's changing. You don't see too many soft tossers in baseball at all. The Jamie Moyers.
Age of 20, Hernandez was earning $6 a month as a Cuban athlete when he defected to the U.S. back in 1995. Remember his brother El Duque pitched for the Yankees, had some great years with them. He would defect 2 years later. He's been with the Marlins, the Giants, the Expos, then Nationals, Diamondbacks, Twins, Rockies, Mets, and now Milwaukee. Very durable, was always among the league leaders in innings pitched. See if they want to start the runner on 3-2. Not running, and Schumacher bounces into a potential double play. 6-4-3. Pitchmaker.
That's what he is. Gets the ground ball he wanted. Little sinker. Not really much to it. Lets the ball go. Hit to his right. He knows the shortstop's playing there, and his experience wins out again.
Yeah, you're talking about how athletic he is. At one point, he went 7 full seasons without committing an error. Third best fielding percentage among active players right now. 16th best all time. Brian Anderson is on deck.
Shelby Miller getting loose for St. Louis.
Descalso at the plate, then Rosenthal's spot.
Imagine Rosenthal will go back out for one more inning if Descalzo does not reach base, but with a leadoff single, getting Miller up. Kind of shows me that Mike Matheny has some confidence in Shelby Miller. The reason is you're getting him up knowing that you're getting him up in an inning where your team has got base runners, and you may be looking at a tied game or at least a 3-2 game. And you're willing to say he's my guy.
Hernandez, it's been an interesting 2012 for him. Began with Houston, released and then signed with the Atlanta Braves, and now pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers. 3-2 pitch to Descalzo. Ground ball to second. Weeks has it. Scoreless frame for Livan Hernandez. Milwaukee is on top. They lead by 2. We head to the 7th. Thousand strikeouts. Remember, for a time, Rick, Rod Carew, one of the great hitters that's ever played the game, was their hitting coach. And under him, it was guys like Jose Hernandez, who at one point had set the all-time record for strikeouts. I mean, they had guys, Richie Sexson, Jeff Jenkins, Jeremy Burnitz. I mean, it was no big deal if they struck out 8, 10, 12 times a game. I mean, you saw it all the time.
Ricky Weeks, you can put him in that category. And that's a lot of call third strikes for Bob Uecker. I wonder if Bob's counted those up for us. Said that was 17,000 plus. Umpire got hit on that foul ball. They're giving him a minute to recover a bit. Ron Kulpa again behind the plate. The St. Louisan. There's the fastball right back over the shoulder of Molina.
Bob Uecker, the longtime voice of the Milwaukee Brewers. They recently dedicated a statue to Mr. Uecker. Mr. Baseball. Since the early 70s, Bob has been the voice of the Milwaukee Brewers. Had the series Mr. Belvedere, Major League, Harry Doyle.
And he is the guy that everybody thinks he would be. When you're around him in the lunchroom and you get a chance to visit with him a little bit and talk,
he's hysterical.
Baseball, I mean, he's just funny. He's just a funny guy. And so the character that we've seen on TV, and you used to remember all those times that he would appear on, going back now to Johnny Carson and on the Tonight Show, and really that kind of got him going with some of those appearances, and people just found him hysterical, but he was just being him.
I did a 30-minute interview, at least 30 minutes, with Bob last time they were in town, and he got to be very close with Johnny Carson, and every time he said he went on, nothing was prepared. He just kind of had some fun, made it up as he went, and very close to Johnny. And then his family. That's ripped into left center field. This could be trouble, and this ball is gone. It's a home run. Ricky Weeks, his 17th. Looked to be a hanging breaking ball, and that's his 17th home run. And it's now a 4-1 lead for the Milwaukee Brewers. Comes on an 0-2 pitch as well.
We saw Lance Lynn get beat on an off-speed pitch yesterday, and we've just seen the same from Trevor Rosenthal. And that was a long one, 433 feet off the bat of Weeks, his 17th home run. And he does strike out a lot, twice tonight, but that's what makes him valuable.
Here's a 1-0 pitch in the dirt to Ryan Braun, got him to chase.
And that's a big run, too, giving the Brewers a 3-run lead here in the 7th inning. The Cardinals offense really has not mounted much of a attack so far in this game, but
right side. Oh, what a play here by Schumacher, and safe at first is Braun. Base hit for Ryan Braun. You talked about it, Ricky. He's got power, but he can run.
And the Brewers are playing hard. I mean, you just have to give him credit. Nice play by Schumacher, laying out, and as quickly as he can, he makes that transition. But talk about quickly. That's Ryan Braun getting down the line. He's just flying, and he is safe. Beats that throw, makes the call himself, and really been impressed with the Brewers' speed of play in this series.
2 of the runs have scored on base hits on 0-2 pitches. That will drive Derek Lilliquist crazy.
And 1 was the pitcher.
Fires. And that was back in the 2nd. Here's a Ramirez ground ball that is fair past David Freese. Braun on his way to 3rd. Ramirez on his way to 2nd base, and in safely as the ball scoots away. Ramirez on base for the 4th time tonight. Pair of walks and 2 hits.
Even Aramis Ramirez having youthful legs on that double that just went over the bag at 3rd. David Freese can't reach it.
Braun and Ramirez have combined to be on base 7 times in this ballgame. Marte is throwing, and so was Rodriguez briefly for Milwaukee.
There's Victor Marte early in the season. Marte was kind of the jam pitcher that would be brought on with runners in scoring position, and he pitched very well in that regard. First month or so, gave up a few home runs and really struggled, was sent back to AAA. We're going to need one of those Trevor Rosenthal strikeouts here. One thing that a young pitcher finds out, you get to the big leagues and you realize, yes, I have the stuff to pitch here. You have a great game and strike out some guys, and you realize, wow, I can pitch here. Then you realize there's some days where you throw a pretty good pitch that you used to get away with, or you make one mistake and the next thing you know, you've had a bad outing, and you realize, wow, this league is tougher. There's a margin for error that maybe I didn't recognize that first outing I had, or that second outing. And all young pitchers go through that reality where you realize I just cannot make mistakes at this level. They'll hurt me.
3-0 on Corey Hart. And he walked him, so the bases are loaded yet again tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers, and a 4-1 lead for the Brew Crew. More than 440,000 Americans die each year from smoking-related illnesses, including cancer, heart disease, and stroke. 10,000 in Missouri alone. Call the Missouri Tobacco Quit line to quit now. 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Middle of the lineup has done a lot of damage against Mike Matheny's club. Braun, Ramirez, and Hart. If you add Hart to Braun and Ramirez on base 7 times, add Hart to that, he's been on base to make it 10 between the 3.
And you haven't even gotten to Jonathan Lucroy, who's 2 for 3.
Right. Pitch taken a little bit low. Always a fine line, I'm sure, for Mike Matheny. Young pitcher. Love his stuff. You always try to find situations for him, though, to succeed, especially early in his career. Don't overexpose him. Let him get beat up. Not to say that that's what is happening here, but
he's on the edge of it.
Absolutely.
He had a good first inning. Gave up a hit, struck out a batter, actually stranded a runner. So he did a nice job overcoming the David Freese error on a bunt single that turned into more for Carlos Gomez, but hasn't found the out pitch here this inning. And the curveball, the off-speed pitch is not sharp here in this inning. And we talk about what hitters do, Dan. They just eliminate it. They think, well, I can hit that if I need to, but I'm just going to sit on his fastball.
Strike 2, 2-2. Over 40,000 here at the ballpark tonight. On the outside corner, strikeout.
Low riding fastball right at the knees and on the outside corner. Trevor Rosenthal comes up with the pitch he needed. And again, I would say Lucroy was looking fastball, got the fastball, and still couldn't hit it because of the location.
Talked about it earlier. Gomez speed comes into play here as he chases that pitch out of the zone. Thank you very much. Remember, he had the bases loaded, Rick, back in the 3rd, and nobody out, and popped out to the second baseman.
Watch Gomez swing at pitches over his head. We've seen it a couple of times. He reminds you of players from the past. Manny Sanguillen comes to mind. Also makes me think of Red Schoendienst, who's fond of saying that the strike zone in his day used to be if you could reach it if it was a strike. So he just kind of swing at kind of anything that was basically from shoulder to ankles. Have a big zone and swing the bat.
Inning started with a home run, then Braun a single, double by Ramirez, Hart the walk. He stands at first. Strikeout of Lucroy. Bases loaded. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Shoulder high fastball here. That's what I'd like to see.
Off speed pitch. Got him to chase. And Gomez strikes out. Back-to-back Ks with the bases loaded.
Or a nasty slider down and away.
That'll work too.
If I knew he was going to be so nasty with it. Breaking pitch. Kept that one down with Ricky Weeks. He was ahead of him. 2 strikes, and he hung it a bit. But this one off the plate. Gomez has been chasing, and he does again.
potentially situation with the bases loaded. Nobody out twice tonight for Milwaukee, and they have nothing to show for it if he can get this final out.
Well, you're finding out something about Trevor Rosenthal here by how he's pitching out of this inning, too. And that's the Milwaukee standpoint, but from the St. Louis standpoint, regardless of whether he gets Bianchi out, he's shown something.
There's a broken bat. It's slowly hit. Freeze up with it. Makes the play. They only get one. And again, it could have been a lot worse. The solo home run by Weeks. 4-1 Milwaukee. Half games out. LA, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee on that list, as we've talked about, could be within 5. And Francisco Rodriguez will appear for the 68th time. Really an up and down season for him with the high ERA, the 61 innings pitched, 30 walks, record of 2-7. And this has been arguably the biggest issue for Milwaukee. And that is their bullpen as Anderson lines it into right field for a leadoff base hit. Cardinals needed that last night when he was a pinch hitter and a chance to win the game. They'll take it now.
There was a time when Francisco Rodriguez was unhittable, and that time is not now. He is not the same guy. Lost a little bit of his swagger on the mound, and he's a guy that used to have plenty of that. That ball was hit right on the nose by Brian Anderson.
Milwaukee has to be kicking themselves right now. They've stranded 10 twice tonight with the bases loaded, nobody out, came up with nothing. Now it's John Jay back to the top of the lineup. On paper, going into this season, the back end of their bullpen would seem to be
not an issue
at all. Axford, Rodriguez, that's a strength back to back.
And I think they found a left-hander that they like. Manny Parra, who used to be a starter for them, has done a nice job from the left side. But, you know, this is a team that did not get the start from Markham they thought. Greinke kind of had his moments. Wolf had an off year. Chris Narveson got hurt. So they had some real issues in their rotation, which may have pressured their bullpen a bit more than they were ready to handle.
Here's an 0-2 pitch.
And even Cameron Lowe, a guy that we've seen before, at decent numbers a year ago. You thought he's certainly a good third right-hander out of the bullpen, very capable.
Saw him last night in game 1 pitching out of that jam. Thought the Cardinals had a win. 1-2 pitch to Jay. Manny Parra was saying before the game tonight he just felt lucky to have suffered only a black eye and had a swollen left cheek when he got to the ballpark today. Remember, he took that pitch back to him.
We originally thought
2 outs in the 9th last night.
Originally thought it hit him in the face. Then we thought it hit his glove, but
the 2-2.
He didn't rub it, that's for sure. He just walked off the mound.
That was a pretty good shot then, in retrospect.
Sure was. Cardinals still have Carlos Beltran and Lance Berkman on their bench.
That was the comebacker off the bat of Adrian Chambers, who was in this ball game after Matt Carpenter hurt his hands. The 2-2 pitch in the dirt. Chambers is on deck, and again, your thoughts and prayers go out to Brandon McCarthy. He was struck in the head by a line drive. Had a brain contusion, skull fracture, 2 hours of brain surgery, but is recovering this weekend. The hospital in the Bay Area. Scary stuff.
You bet.
See if they start the runner on 3-2. Runner goes. Jay strikes out. Throw to second is not in time. Stolen base for Brian Anderson. John Jay with an infield hit tonight. Now 1 for 4. And it brings in Adrian Chambers. We mentioned that Carpenter was hurt. If you're just joining us, Carpenter picked up a base hit and his bat exploded. Cut both of his hands. It's not expected to be serious, and medical staff said that he would be more than likely available to play tomorrow.
Brian Anderson showing good speed on that stolen base. It was an okay jump. Okay to good jump, but Milwaukee Brewers catchers certainly don't throw runners out like Molina does. RBI opportunity now for Chambers. Pick up 1 at least.
Chambers rips it into right center field. Anderson will score. Watch him fly on his way to second base. On his way to third. This will be a triple. Diving head first, Adrian Chambers.
Most of the Cardinals don't look as fast as the Brewers, but do not include Adrian Chambers in that conversation. Our Nissan drive of the game, Chambers off and running. He was thinking a triple right out of the box.
Here is Holiday. And the first pitch is a strike. You may remember earlier in the game, Jose Oquendo held up Adrian Chambers, and his speed playing a factor possibly on that play that we both felt he may have been able to score on.
Agree. Yadier Molina coming up to the plate may have been the deciding factor for Jose.
0-1 pitch. 0-2 on Holiday.
And if you're a Milwaukee Brewers faithful, you'll say, here we go again. Late in the game, we can't keep a lead. We get a lead. We have a good offense. And then you just kind of close your eyes and hope.
Oh-2 pitch. Taken low and in the dirt. Good to see that Holiday healthy enough to play tonight in the starting lineup.
So Holiday has the strength and the power to tie it with one swing of the bat, but with the ability to just hit a ground ball anywhere with a defensive swing, he at least scores Adrian Chambers.
One-two pitch. 2-2.
Brewers conceding the run. They play the infield back. Chambers runs so well.
Jim Henderson is getting loose in the pen. The 2-2 pitch. Take it inside.
You really want anything but a strikeout.
Put it in play. He's going to score is what you're saying.
Well, I'll say anything but a strikeout or a pop-up to the infield. Now I think I have it covered.
There you go.
Fly ball to the outfield, ground ball to the infield. Home run would be nice.
1 for 6 against the right-hander. 3-2 pitch. Holiday strikes out. Big strikeout for Rodriguez. The Cardinals Top 25 World Series highlights is presented. The 2012 Cardinals yearbook. Must have for every collection. Cardinals.com/publications. Steve Zesch, the publisher, telling us that after the David Freese performance in Game 6, did that rank as #1? They talked to many of the folks that have followed the Cardinals for decades. Got a panel together and they go over the top 25 moments. Great pictures, never seen before articles and pictures. Cardinals.com/publications to get it. The outside corner to Craig. Atlanta showing a lot of signs of life, and that includes Brian McCann. He had a 4-hit day. They win 11-3 over the Mets. Braves have won 6 of their past 7. They get their young shortstop back on Monday, Simmons. The 0-1 pitch. Craig with a high fly ball, left center. Juan is over, so is Gomez, and Gomez, the center fielder, takes charge to make the catch. Adrian Chambers RBI triple, 4-2 Milwaukee as we head to the 8th. As we go to the top of the 8th, John Jay doing more on defense, presented by the Home Depot, and this is the first ball that's put in play tonight. Jay going back and running this one down. You're hoping that would set the tone for the Westbrook start. He lasted 5 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits, walked 4, struck out 2. On the other side, Fires, the rookie right-hander, he would last 5 innings, a run, 5 hits, walked 3, and struck out 5. Home Depot doing more on defense. John Jay. Freeman into the ball game, and it's a 4-2 lead for Milwaukee.
Some other defensive changes for St. Louis. Descalzo moves from short to third, and Pete Kozma takes over as a shortstop. You're looking at Sam Freeman, young left-hander, throws very hard, has a good changeup. Really had good numbers in AAA as well. Settled down, actually had a side injury, had one of those oblique strains, and there was thought that that may last a while, but he recovered pretty quickly from that. He was out just a few weeks and was reactivated towards the end of August. And he finds himself in the big leagues again.
Eric Ferris, the pinch hitter. Mentioned, we went to a break, and I was wondering about David Freese. Did not look comfortable after a base hit. Running down to first after a base hit against Livan Hernandez. Now Descalso is at third. You wouldn't think Mike Matheny makes that move with David Freese due up second in the bottom half of the eighth.
Yeah, and David Freese took the header on the bunt play. And then after he got the hit, he didn't look. I mean, there's a couple of times where he looked a little, let's just say, uneasy, moving around on the base paths. And we've seen that from a number of Cardinals here today. Again, in contrast to the more healthy seeming Brewers, and they're just playing at a faster pace. And it's not a matter of will and attitude, and I don't want to be misunderstood about that. I think there are times where you're just kind of got some walking wounded here, and I think that's where the Cardinals are right now. And it's tough to play this game when you're not 100%. But we know that's where Beltran has been. We know that's where Berkman is.
Chambers with that speed, making the catch near the line. So David Freese, this is the base hit in the sixth, and prior to that, Rick was talking about the play in which it was a bunt.
Yeah, something's not right there
defensively, and you see him running down the line. So he is due up second, and that's obviously very surprising that Mike Matheny would make that move unless there was something that would affect David Freese at the plate.
So that'll be Pete Kozma hitting in his spot.
Aoki, the leadoff man. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Freeman wants to be a big leaguer for a long time. He just has to keep getting left-handers out. If he gets other people out, that's even better. That's gravy. But for a lefty to be able to come in situations like this and retire Aoki and others.
Ground ball deep in the hole. Saw the arm there of Pete Kozma, didn't we? This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the world champion St. Louis Cardinals.
Not only the good arm, but the quick release. He gets the ball, and he gets rid of it quickly, right on the line. Aoki runs well, but he got him by a couple of steps. I like that. Get it there as quickly as you can.
And we've seen Kozma primarily at second base. Natural position is shortstop. 2 outs and nobody on for Ricky Weeks, who is homered tonight. That home run, number 17, off of Rosenthal just an inning ago. He's also struck out twice, grounded out. Two-0 pitch. 2-1. Rick, you were talking about Livan Hernandez. He comes in and he throws mid-80s. And you say, well, that's a lefty. Not all of them, though. Sam Freeman comes in and he'll hit 94, 95 on the gun.
And again, that's changed some. You got a lot of left-handers now that can really bring it. And Freeman's like that. Does have a good changeup, however. In fact, Yadier Miller talks about that being his best pitch, really, in terms of his high-quality off-speed pitch. His changeup is well disguised. And he'll use it against left-handed batters, which I think is smart.
3-1 pitch.
Used to be a thought that lefties shouldn't throw lefties changeups. In fact, there's still people that teach that, and I don't agree with it. And the reason they say you shouldn't do it is you're throwing the ball to the strength of a left-hander. It's going to go down and in to his spot with down and in, which lefties like. And I would say that if changeup is your best pitch and you can throw it with good movement, then why would I get rid of my best pitch just because I'm worried about the hitter? Now, if you throw a straight change, that's a different thing.
Hit sharply to short. Kozma on 2 hops makes the play. Good work by Sam Freeman. Redbirds trail 4-2. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And by Taco Bell. Taco Bell, live Mas. Up to the bullpens after both starters went 5 innings. New right-handers in for Milwaukee. This is Jim Henderson. 18 1/3 on the season to go along with 27 strikeouts and 9 walks.
Gave up a couple of runs yesterday in his 1 inning of work. Balked the batter. And gave up the Yadier Molina home run. So he's right back up on that horse again.
Here is Yadier Molina. He'll lead it off, followed by Kozma and Schumacher. Just trying any way, Rick, to get it back to that middle of the lineup. Cardinals and Molina, Kozma, Schumacher here, then to Scalzo, Freeman spot, and Jay back to the top of the lineup. Redbirds do have Beltran on the bench as well as Lance Berkman, 2 very dangerous pinch hitters, you would think, tonight.
So he was given a 4-2 lead in the 8th inning last night. And he's given a 4-2 lead in the 8th inning in this game. So Ron Renicky committed to Henderson. He's even facing Yadier Molina again. You just really hope that somehow the health and the potential of Carlos Beltran and Lance Berkman catches fire in the last 3 weeks.
Two balls, 1 strike on Molina. Struck out looking in the second. He has flied out twice, 0 for 3 on the night.
There's Lance.
A little bit low. It's the Memphis Redbird guys that got things going last inning. Brian Anderson, pinch hitter, a single. Stole his first base as a major leaguer. Then Adrian Chambers plugged the gap in right center for a triple and an RBI. Taken high, leadoff walk, and that usually signals trouble. We shall see.
Yadier Molina trying to show a little energy, making his way to first base after that walk. And you really wonder who's driving the Cardinals offense right now. I think last year and for the last 10 years it would have been a very simple answer as to who drove the Cardinals offense. I think this year you had Carlos Beltran in the early going. You had Matt Holliday for much of the year. You've had Yadier Molina in spurts. But it's really more of a group effort this year. And with the injuries, it's like playing with a few cards missing.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. We talked about it the other day. Cosma, just looking at him, he wouldn't think he's got a lot of power. Middle infielder, but he's got some pop in that bat, doesn't he?
He does.
Cardinals will wrap up the homestand tomorrow on the air here on Fox Sports Midwest, then head to San Diego. 1-1 pitch. And San Diego, Rick, best home record since the All-Star break.
Cardinals are playing a lot of teams in succession that haven't necessarily had good seasons but are playing well of late. The Mets would be in that category. The Brewers, and then San Diego. Cosma, you mentioned his power. He had 13 home runs in 2010 with Springfield. Drove in 72 runs. Been right around a 240 hitter in the minor leagues, so not a high average. So disappointing there, but part of why he was drafted so high is you saw a gifted shortstop who had a little pop.
Outside, and it's 3-1. Cosma certainly can be very selective here.
Took a long look at Jose Oquendo. Maybe a little indecision on his part whether or not he should be swinging here.
3-1 pitch. 3-2. Tying run is at the plate. Schumacher is on deck.
Kendo has his signs flashed. Would not expect Molina to be running.
Out of play.
One of the things you have to think about when you deal with the running game is does the batter at the plate strike out a lot? Nearly 100 strikeouts per year, about the average for Cosmo. A little high for a middle infielder.
Three-two pitch. Cosma rips it past Ramirez down into the corner. Yadi is digging for third, and they will hold him up. Cosma stops at second base. Pete Cosma sends a jolt through Busch Stadium. Off the glove of Ramirez.
That's a good at-bat for Cosma.
Sure
he
is.
Worked the count deep. Wasn't afraid of the 3-2 count. Then got a pitch he could handle, and he just laces this past Ramirez into the corner. That's a big at-bat for Cosma.
And it's the young guys, the call-ups right now, providing a little spark here late.
Cosma in the 8th, and it was Brian Anderson and Adrian Chambers in the 7th. Cosmo wanting to get straight with Oquendo what he expects of him on a base hit for Skip Schumacher. He just wanted to get the verbal sign there.
Milwaukee has left 10 on in the ball game. The Cardinals have stranded 8. Schumacher could tie it up with a base hit. We saw him homer the other night. .339 average with runners in scoring position. He has been very good in this spot this year.
Well, you've set the table. Now you got to finish the job.
Outside, Descalso on deck. After that, you'd have to figure either Beltran or Berkman. Big gap in right center. The 1-0 pitch. Schumacher with a fly ball out to left. Braun will make the catch. Molina tagging up to the plate, and he is safe. Cuts into the lead to make it 4-3.
Well, Braun tries to show off his arm here, but the errant throw almost gives Cosma a chance to advance. He thought about it. He tagged up as well at second base, and that high throw, if it would have been a little bit more airborne than that, I think Cosma would have taken off for third base, and that would have been even more trouble for Milwaukee.
Pete Cosma, good speed out at second base. A 1-run lead for Milwaukee. This is Daniel Descalso. A single RBI in the second. Flied out in the fourth and a ground out last time up in the sixth. Carlos Beltran has moved to the on-deck circle. Strike one. Outfield is straight away. Ooh, he just missed 1-1. Rick, let's go through the outfield arms. Let's start with Ryan Braun.
Well, you've got a accurate arm and left in Ryan Braun. He's got, I would say, average to plus left fielder's arm. In center field, we've seen a good, strong throwing arm from Gomez. Aoki has a good arm in right. So this is not an easy outfield to run on. They're playing medium depth right now. And you'd like to make it a moot point by just hitting the ball in the gap somewhere. Cosma runs well. And if you're Milwaukee, if there's a base hit for Descalso, the outfielders have to be primarily concerned with hitting the cutoff man, because you don't want the go-ahead run to advance, and that would be Descalso on the base hit to second base, because you've missed the cutoff man throwing home.
1-2 is tapped foul by Descalso. Those were pitches a couple of weeks ago he wasn't fighting off.
Exactly. He was late on a lot of fastballs up, curveballs that were down he was kind of swinging over top of, and kind of had some really rough at bats over a week period, but I think he has fixed that. Now he's also playing more, and I think that's helping.
You bet. 1-2 pitch on its way. Descalso strikes out. It's up to Beltran. .255 average in this spot.
He is 3 for 9 as a pinch hitter.
First base open. No lefty getting loose. Jay is on deck. And Beltran pops it up on the first pitch. 4-3 as we head to the ninth. The Cardinals pick up a run.
The game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Pat Paris and Little Dunk are standing by. An up and down night for Jake Westbrook. They'll break it down. It's the anniversary of Big Mac's big night. They'll look back at that. Plus Mike Matheny's post-game thoughts as well. Fernando Salas on to pitch for the Cards. We send it back to the booth. And Dan and Rick, guys.
Fernando Salas into the ball game for St. Louis, and it's now a 4-3 lead for Milwaukee. Brewers have left 10 on. St. Louis 9. Milwaukee's out hit the Cardinals by 2, and they lead it by 1. It'll be Braun, Ramirez, and Hart. And this part of the lineup has done a lot of damage this evening.
And the Cardinals will have to try to keep some momentum going after that last inning. Kind of ended up like a dud as far as I'm concerned, with a great start that in promise of that inning. Leadoff walk to Molina, and then a double for Pete Kozma, and Pete Kozma was still at second base when the inning was over.
Yep. 3 hits tonight, a run scored for Ryan Braun. Oh. 1 ball, 1 strike. Top of the ninth, and the Orioles lead the Yankees 5-3. Battle for first place in the American League East. CC Sabathia made that start for the Yanks.
So the middle of the order, as you said, Dan, has just been on base all night long. Braun, Ramirez, and Hart. So a challenge here for Fernando Salas, who's pitched better of late. The Cardinals will have the top of the order: John Jay, Adrian Chambers, and Matt Holliday. Kind of waiting for Matt Holliday to break out, haven't we?
Yes. Not one to say so, but you wonder how much the back is affecting his swing. Here's a 2-2 pitch. It's another opportunity too, Rick, to separate the Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. They lose to Chicago 4-3. Mention how the Dodgers defeated San Francisco 3-2. Atlanta wins again. Chris Medlin has been the hottest pitcher in baseball. Atlanta 11-3 over the Mets. Washington beat Miami 7-6. And one final from the American League. White Sox defeated Kansas City 5-4. The 2-2 pitch. The plate coverage of Brian Braun is outstanding, isn't it?
Well, he's off the plate. We talked about that in game 1 of this series, but he's able to spoil a pitch that's on the outside half exactly as he did on that last swing. He just kind of sticks his bat out, fouls it off, and nobody was better at that, at least that I can recall, than Tony Gwynn. He could foul off a good pitch with the best of them. And there's another one. I can't hit it, but I can make you throw another one. Well, with Tony Gwynn, he just had an uncanny ability to think, well, that's not really the pitch I want, so I'll just line this one foul and make him pitch again. And I think that's why he hit .330 every year.
Yeah, it probably has something to do with it. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Ryan Braun.
The old theory at the time was if you want to get Tony Gwynn out, just throw him the ball right down the middle because he doesn't know what to do with it. I'm not sure I like that theory, but I wasn't willing to test it.
And I don't blame you.
I think he created that theory and circulated it.
Probably right about that too.
A little gamesmanship probably going on.
3-2 pitch, and he struck him out. Took a little something off that pitch.
Sure did. The changeup for Salas. It's kind of floated in the inner half. Didn't really have much downward movement to it, but it really fooled him with the change of pace.
Pitch. Catches the corner. Strike to Ramirez.
Fernando looks sharp. Pitch at 92. Not an overpowering fastball. Doesn't throw as hard as some of the guys down in the bullpen. Mott and Boggs and now Rosenthal or even Shelby Miller. But a very good changeup. Normally good command and location of his fastball.
Potentially a huge injury for Baltimore. Nick Markakis, speculation at this point, could be out with a broken thumb, and if that's the case, he'd be done for the year.
Well, that's a shame.
Out to deep left field, and this ball is gone. It's a home run. Aramis Ramirez, his 22nd. Back to a 2-run lead.
Sure. .90 RBIs for Ramirez. Been on base all 5 times. He rested in game 1 of this series, and it would have been a lot better if he'd rested tonight as well.
Reason I brought up Markakis is that it was a move that Buck Showalter made to put him in the top spot in their lineup, hitting over .330. So if he's gone for a while, that could be a big loss. And in this ball game, a big blast by Ramirez, back to a 2-run lead. On a play. 2 strikes on Corey Hart. Ramirez, 3 hits, pair of walks, average now at 300. The 2-2 pitch.
Cardinals could certainly come back in the bottom of the 9th inning, but this game seems so familiar, doesn't it?
Sure does. The 3-2 tapped foul.
Cardinals have lost a lot of 1-run games, lost a lot of extra inning games, 10 games over 500. They started out 20-10. And have been a 500 team since then. Now lost a lot of games that just feel like this game. Close. You get close and then the other team scores another run.
That's hard hit out to left off the bat of Corey Hart. Cardinals hold him to a single.
Like you're climbing a mountain and then you just keep falling back down the hill. And climb some more.
Fernando Salas allowing that home run to Ramirez that broke his streak of 15 consecutive scoreless appearances, span of 13 innings. And so it has opened up that 2-run lead, 5-3. Hart will be the runner at first base, and Victor Marte is coming in the ball game. 5-3 Milwaukee. Disposal comes up with Victor Marte, 45th appearance on the year. Rick, I was talking with Mike yesterday about these moves, and he said you can have all the numbers you want. He said at times I'd love to say what's going on with some of our players, who's hurt, why they're hurt, what's going on with a particular situation. That's at our disposal, the information we have, but you can't do that because it gives you, or the advantage, competitive advantage to your opponent.
It's always going to be true that the manager's going to have more information than the rest of us, and you'll question, well, why does he take out this player, and why is he not using this pitcher, and why is he not using Lance Berkman in this game, and why is David Freese out of this game? And all of those questions are valid questions if you don't know the information that Mike Matheny knows. And we think there may be some issues with David Freese physically, which is why he was taken out. And we know there are issues. We do know about Lance Berkman, but we don't know the whole story about Lance Berkman and even how he may be feeling taking swings during the game in the cage. Players will do that from time to time to get ready for possible pinch hit appearances, and whether it's Beltran or Berkman or whoever it might be, there's going to be some more recent information that's going to be at Mike's disposal.
One pitch from Marte.
And as Tony La Russa was fond of saying to us for so many years, you know, you take all that information and you go with your gut. You use the numbers, you do your homework, and you realize that these players are not going to be perfect, and you're going to just pick the guy you think is best for that situation and live with it. And it might not work out.
The 2-1 pitch. It's sharply to left. Lucroy is right around that 330 mark. Solid season. Missed some time with an injury, but when he's been in there, he has produced.
This pitch is a great example. A hanging slider to the Schnucks difference maker, Ryan Braun. Finds a hole. Actually, Lucroy the hitter. Ryan Braun is our Schnucks difference maker, however, because of his 3 hits in this game. But if he throws a nasty slider and he hits a nice little one hopper to Pete Kozma, then Mike Matheny pushed the right button. So the players still have to execute.
Gomez has had a pair of opportunities with the bases loaded tonight. He's popped out and also struck out. 2 runners on here. The 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals with the top of the lineup. Jay, Chambers, Holiday due up.
Some hop on that fastball. Hop on the fastball. Marte did a little hop. So did Gomez. A lot of hopping going on there.
Mm-hmm. One-two pitch. Reaching for it, and it's a base hit into right. A run will score. That makes it 6-3. And it's first and third with 1 out as Gomez drives in the run.
Really not a bad pitch for Marte. Maybe a little flat, but that's not even close to being a strike, and Gomez just sticks his bat out and finds a hole between first and second. So Gomez has 2 hits. Lucroy 3. Hart 2. Ramirez 3 and Braun 3. 15 hit attack.
Pitch in the dirt. Yankee. Cincinnati in the top of the 9th leading Houston by the score of 5-1. Mentioned that the Cubs defeated Pittsburgh tonight. Since the All-Star game, the Cubs on the road 5-20, but 4-1 in Pittsburgh. Travis Ishikawa is on deck. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's going to be a foul tip, I believe.
And a stolen base for Gomez.
Did he not touch it?
Yeah, but Molina caught the ball. So it's just like a swing and a miss. And Gomez, who was off with the pitch, picks up his 32nd stolen base. He's only been thrown out 5 times.
Infield now is in. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Can't give him any more.
Rolls foul.
Actually, you can't give him the 2 you gave him.
Initially, I was looking at our home plate umpire who had pointed out towards second. I thought he was telling Gomez to go back to the bag. And a couple of the players had stopped initially too, but he winds up at second base. Again, that's the St. Louis and Ron Kopa. One ball and 2 strikes. Ground ball and a play at the plate. Kozma comes home. The tag is there. It's mutual respect. Molina with Lucroy coming down.
And I'm glad that's what we saw. Just kind of hold your breath for a second there, don't you, with Yadi?
I wonder if, and my answer I think would be probably not, but how gun shy Molina might be with plays at the plate. But the thing is, Rick, I mean, look at that. He's ready. If Lucroy wants to barrel into him, he's ready.
Well, I don't know if he's gun shy or not, but I wish he would be.
Good point.
And I think that's what the Cardinals would say about it as well.
That's it for Marte. Pitching change coming up with 2 outs and a runner on. Zepchinski coming in 6-3 Milwaukee. His 64th appearance. What has been an up and down season this year for the lefty.
Was Zepchinski really trying to find his slider? You know, the fastball has been decent in terms of velocity. That really hasn't been the issue. But for Zepchinski, command has been. Too many 2-0 counts. And I'd like to see him have a nice outing here. Come out and get ahead. He's going to face a right-hander, not the left-hander, as the lefty's pulled back for Martin Maldonado.
Schnook's difference maker tonight. He was a difference maker last night, but we'll go with Ryan Braun. 3 singles and a run scored. Our Schnook's difference maker, Ryan Braun.
Yeah, he's been the difference maker a lot of nights. And he's been a headache giver, too. Best pitch that Mark Zepchinski can throw is strike 1.
Martin Maldonado, the pinch hitter. 2 outs. Runners at first and third. 6-3 Milwaukee. Here's a 1-1. Foul back, strike 2.
We've seen Willeen Rosario this year. We've seen Martin Maldonado. There's a kind of a new crop of good young catchers in baseball. You add the Nationals catcher who has been injured, Wilson Ramos, and you've got some star players in the future behind the plate. They're all going to be trying to be Yadier Molina.
Fly ball that is slicing down the right field line, out of play. Had folks that have asked us about Sanchez, Eduardo Sanchez. Saw him up at one point this year. Just had an outstanding spring.
Really struggled, however, when he got sent down. We'll see him next year.
Strikeout for Zepchinski. Final hope coming up for St. Louis, down by 3. Late in this game tonight, trailing by the score of 6-3. Milwaukee has pounded out 15 base hits. The Redbirds with 9. Nothing has been easy, though, for this right-hander, Milwaukee, John Axford. Been a tough year in many ways for him.
It really has. He has 26 saves, but look at the save opportunities. It means he's blown 8 of them. And I think if you're, again, a Milwaukee Brewer fan, they probably think that number seems higher than that because they've just had so many problems in their bullpen. Axford really was terrific a year ago and has just not been the same so far this year, but he's been a bit better of late. We did see him late into the night last night.
Top of the lineup, John Jay. Looks at a fastball inside. Struck out back in the 7th. 2 groundouts to go along with an infield hit. Ramirez well off the line on the grass at 3rd. 1 ball, 1 strike. One pitch. Jay takes it high. 2-1.
Control has been an issue for Axford this year.
Out of play for strike 2. Really did have one of the more remarkable runs by any closer. Not just this season, but any season. Dating back to last year and the early portion of this season. Two and 2 the count.
It's almost as if the first time he blew a save, after not having done so for whatever the number was, 50 times, all of a sudden it seemed like, oh, well, maybe I'll do it again and again and again. Found out he was human.
3-2 pitch. Jay. Weeks to his right. Makes the play. You mentioned control. The secondary pitches have been a concern for Axford, so a lot of teams sit back, wait for the fastball, drive it. Laying off the off-speed pitches.
Ramirez has had a very good night.
Adrian Chambers. There's a look at Ramirez night. Budweiser player of the game, 3 for 3. Chambers, RBI triple. And he looks at a fastball and a strike. Wouldn't shock me if we got to the ballpark tomorrow and saw Chambers in the lineup. Give the team maybe a little jolt.
Not a bad idea. I guess the question would be, where do you put him in the lineup? Too?
Yeah.
Batting order wise, maybe you put him in the outfield, let him play an outfield position, but second spot, have him right behind John Jay. I don't mind that. Put some speed at the top of your lineup.
That's where you had the flexibility of a Berkman or a Beltran hitting second, being switch hitters. Makes it a little tougher matchup. I've only got one lefty in their bullpen, so it might make that decision a little easier to go back-to-back Jay Chambers.
I like the excitement that Matt Carpenter brings to the Cardinal lineup too, so I hope he's going to be able to play tomorrow.
For those indications
that he would be.
Yeah.
But for those who missed it early on, he broke his bat on a base hit actually over the shortstop's head. And on the broken bat ended up actually having contusions in both of his hands. I guess lacerations is the right word. But not severe. At least the first reports are that he should be able to play tomorrow.
2-2.
Cardinals need a little wild streak right here for Axford.
Three-two pitch, and he walked him. So Chambers is aboard. In steps Matt Holliday. Holliday 2 strikeouts, 2 walks. Lone saves, John Axford, Rodriguez combined for 15. Just say you save half of those. They're talking about even of greater importance the ball game here tonight.
No question. And that's why, the Milwaukee fans, just it seems like it happened every night to them. Because they had 2 guys blowing saves, both him and K-Rod. Would have preferred that be a more significant walk that Adrian Chambers just worked out if the Cardinals don't give up 2 runs in the top of the 9th. Be exciting to see what he would do on the base paths. Now his run doesn't mean as much as the ones behind it.
Out to deep right field. That'll stay in the ballpark. Catch is made. And Chambers back to the bag at first. 2 outs. Chambers at first, and the hitter is Alan Craig. The matchup tomorrow, Joe Kelly, Sean Markham. Kelly 5-6, Markham 5-4. On the air tomorrow, 12:30 with the pregame.
Jake Westbrook was not at his best tonight, and you might be able to say that about the Cardinals in general. Offensively, defensively.
Two outs, runner at first, Alan Craig the hitter. In the bottom of the 9th, Cardinals trailing by 3. Chambers running. No stolen base on that play. Fielder's indifference. Big gap in left center. 1 ball, 1 strike. Craig tonight is lined out. Just a screamer caught by Ramirez. That was in the 1st. A double in the 3rd. Walk in the 5th. Flight out to center in the 7th. Two and 1.
You'd like to at least get to a situation where Yadier Molina would represent the tying run at the plate. Need base runners right now. A walk works just as well.
2-2. Cardinals down to their final strike. Over 40,000 here tonight. Will they be sent home disappointed? 2-2 the count. Ball game is over. Brewers will look for a sweep against St. Louis, Rick, tomorrow afternoon.
Really been a rough couple of games here against Milwaukee. It took a long time for game 1 to end. Cardinals didn't win this one, but it was all Brewers here tonight. 15 hits and 6 runs for Milwaukee. And the race is getting closer in the National League. The Cardinals now just a half a game ahead of Los Angeles.
Stay with us. Missouri Lottery postgame show is next. 6-3 the final.